All right, so when we were in class last time, we talked about this guy. This is Robert E. Lee, and he decides to leave the South to take the war to the northern states in hopes that the North will experience war and want to give it up. The first major battle of him heading north takes place in Antietam, Maryland. That's Antietam, which is in Maryland. And this was an absolutely horrendous battle that was fought mostly over the creek that you see in this picture. And really its place in history is that it was the bloodiest single day of fighting in American history. Roughly 22,000 soldiers killed in about 5 or 6 hours worth of fighting. Just a really, really brutal, up close and personal fight between the Northerners and the Southerners. Here are the notes for this slide. And I would encourage you to pause it and get these down. And they say, it's the bloodiest single day of fighting in American history. 22,000 killed in one day. And this is discouraging to Lee as he decides to head back to the South. His mission of wanting to bring the war to the North is a failure at this point. And so he heads back to the South to regroup and decide what comes next. The photographs were taken at this battle revealed that war was nasty business, and this was the first time that the camera was used extensively to document war for what it really was. And people saw these pictures in newspapers all over the country and realized that these were Americans that were dying in all of these battles, and that war really was not what they had thought it was, with this heroic image that they had of men fighting in war. The reality is that you've got people dying in really horrendous ways in these battles. The notes for this slide. First war where photographs were taken in large numbers. Photographs show the realities of war in newspapers all over the nation, and images caused people to rethink whether the war should continue. You know, these pictures, they ended up in newspapers, and it made people wonder whether or not this war was something they needed to be continuing to send to their sons and husbands and brothers and uncles to go fight. And so this caused an interesting conversation in the North, especially about whether or not this war was worth it. If you need to pause it here to get these notes down, please do. All right, so Antietam was a Northern victory, and so Abraham Lincoln capitalizes on that and decides that it's time to do something that he had wanted to do for the last 6 months or a year, and that's issue what's called the Emancipation Proclamation. And if you look on that fancy document in the picture, you can see those words there. Basically, emancipation means freeing, and proclamation is like an official statement. And so Lincoln frees all the slaves, and if you look at the math, and here's the notes for this. Basically, having beaten the CSA back to the South, Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation, and that's how to say it phonetically, and it frees all the slaves. And basically, this ends 240 years of slavery, which, if you ask me, is about 240 years too long. But at least finally, slavery as an institution, slavery as a way of making money, comes to an end.